Imagine for a moment a master artist at work. Every brushstroke on the canvas, no matter how chaotic or unclear it may seem at first, is deliberate. The artist sees the final masterpiece even while the rest of us only see scattered colors and incomplete lines. Now, think of your life as that canvas and God as the artist. Every trial, every delay, every moment of breaking is not random, it's part of His divine design. Today we're going to explore something profound yet often overlooked, the way God prepares us. It's not always comfortable, and it's rarely easy. There are times when it feels like life is tearing us apart, when the waiting seems endless, and when the pain feels unbearable. But what if I told you that all of this, every tear, every frustration, every moment of doubt is actually evidence of God's work in your life? What if the very things you're tempted to run from are the tools He's using to shape you into something extraordinary? Stay with me, because by the end of this message, I believe you'll see your challenges in a new light. You'll understand that God's preparation is not about punishment, it's about purpose. And you'll discover that the very things causing you pain today may be the foundation for the incredible things He's building for your tomorrow. Let's dive into this truth together and embrace the masterpiece that God is creating in each of our lives. Preparation by God often begins with a breaking process where old patterns, habits, and attachments are stripped away to make room for something new and greater. This breaking is not random or purposeless. It is a deliberate act of love and transformation. Imagine a potter working with clay. The clay in its initial form cannot fulfill its purpose until it is shaped, molded, and sometimes even remolded when imperfections arise. Similarly, God, in His wisdom, breaks the molds we've built for ourselves, those comfortable yet confining spaces that limit our growth and our ability to fulfill His calling. Old patterns often represent the behaviors, mindsets, or dependencies that we cling to for a sense of security or identity. These patterns may not always be sinful in themselves, but they can hinder our spiritual progress or distract us from God's purpose. When God prepares us, He often begins by dismantling these familiar structures, exposing areas of weakness, and inviting us to let go of what we've come to rely on. This process can feel unsettling and even painful because it challenges the comfort zones we've built over time. Breaking old patterns is an act of divine pruning. In John 15:2, Jesus says, "Every branch that does bear fruit He prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful." This pruning can manifest in various ways, perhaps through the loss of a relationship that wasn't aligned with God's plan, the stripping away of pride or self-reliance, or a season of waiting that tests our patience and faith. While these experiences may feel like setbacks, they are actually setups for greater growth and fruitfulness. The pain we feel in these moments is not the pain of punishment, but the pain of transformation, as God removes what no longer serves His purpose for our lives. This breaking process also reveals the things we hold on to more tightly than God. It uncovers idols, whether they be comfort, success, control, or approval, that have taken precedence in our hearts. By breaking these attachments, God redirects our focus and helps us see that He alone is our true source of strength and fulfillment. In doing so, He teaches us to depend on Him more fully, reshaping our hearts to trust in His plan rather than our own understanding. Breaking old patterns requires surrender. It is an invitation to release control and allow God to do His refining work in us. This surrender is not easy. It often feels like stepping into the unknown, leaving behind the familiar for something we cannot yet see. But it is in this space of surrender that God begins to build something new. He replaces old patterns with His truths, old habits with new disciplines, and old identities with a renewed sense of purpose and calling. Though the breaking process is painful, it is also deeply purposeful. It is the beginning of a transformative journey, one that prepares us to step into the fullness of what God has planned. Through this breaking, we become vessels ready to carry out His will, freed from the burdens of the past and equipped for the future He has designed. Pain is often misunderstood as a punishment, but in the hands of God it becomes a powerful tool for growth and transformation. When God is preparing us, the pain we experience is not a sign of His disapproval or rejection, but rather evidence of His active work in shaping us into who He created us to be. This type of pain is not meant to harm us, but to refine us, to draw out our strengths, and to prepare us for the greater purpose He has in store. Just as a gardener prunes a plant to encourage healthier and more abundant growth, God allows us to experience discomfort and challenges so that we may flourish in ways we never imagined. The pain of growth often stems from being stretched beyond our current capacity. God sees the potential within us that we may not yet recognize, and He knows what is required to bring it forth. This stretching can come in the form of trials, difficult decisions, or seasons of waiting, each designed to push us out of our comfort zones and into a deeper dependence on Him. It is in these moments that we learn to let go of our self-reliance and trust in His strength and guidance. The process may feel overwhelming, but it is a necessary step in becoming the person God has called us to be. This pain also exposes areas of our lives that need healing or change. It acts as a mirror, reflecting the parts of ourselves that may be holding us back from fully embracing God's will. Whether it's pride, fear, or unresolved wounds from the past, the discomfort we feel during preparation is an invitation to address these issues and allow God to bring restoration. By facing these challenges head-on, we not only grow stronger but also become more aligned with God's purpose, shedding the weights that hinder us and stepping into the freedom He offers. It is important to recognize that this pain is temporary, but the growth it produces is eternal. In the moment, it may feel as though the struggle will never end, but God promises that He will not leave us or forsake us. He walks with us through the pain, offering His strength and comfort as we endure. Romans 8:28 reminds us that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Even in the midst of pain, we can trust that God is orchestrating every detail for our ultimate good and His glory. The pain we endure in God's preparation process serves to deepen our faith and build our character. It teaches us perseverance, patience, and humility, qualities that are essential for fulfilling His plan for our lives. Through these experiences, we come to understand that growth is rarely easy, but it is always worth it. The trials and discomforts we face today are the tools God uses to equip us for the opportunities and responsibilities of tomorrow. This perspective transforms how we view pain, shifting our focus from the immediate discomfort to the greater purpose God is working to accomplish through it. Trusting God's plan during seasons of pain can be one of the most challenging aspects of faith, yet it is also one of the most transformative. When we encounter hurt or uncertainty, our natural instinct often leans towards seeking immediate relief or understanding. We want to know why things are happening, how long the pain will last, and what the outcome will be. But God, in His infinite wisdom, rarely reveals the full picture to us in the moment. Instead, He invites us to trust Him, even when the path ahead is unclear. This trust requires a surrender of control and an acknowledgement that His ways are higher than ours, even when they don't align with our expectations. Trusting God's plan means believing that His intentions for us are always good, even when our circumstances suggest otherwise. It's a faith anchored in the promises of Scripture, where we are reminded again and again of His steadfast love and faithfulness. Jeremiah 29:11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." These words are not empty reassurances, they are the foundation upon which we can build our confidence, knowing that God's purpose for our lives is one of redemption and hope, even when we walk through seasons of difficulty. This trust often involves releasing our desire for immediate answers and leaning into the mystery of God's sovereignty. There will be times when the pain of preparation feels overwhelming and the purpose behind it remains hidden. In these moments, trust becomes an act of faith, a decision to believe that God is at work even when we cannot see the evidence. It is a posture of humility, recognizing that our perspective is limited and that God's understanding far exceeds our own. This kind of trust is not passive. It requires active reliance on God through prayer, seeking His guidance and meditating on His Word, which provides comfort and assurance in times of uncertainty. The process of trusting God's plan during pain also transforms us internally. It refines our character, deepens our dependence on Him, and strengthens our faith. Each moment of surrender becomes an opportunity to grow closer to God, to learn more about His nature, and to experience His sustaining grace. The more we trust Him, the more we realize that He is not only preparing us for a specific purpose, but also drawing us into a deeper relationship with Him. It is in this intimacy with God that we find peace amidst the pain and hope for the future. Trusting God does not mean denying the reality of pain or pretending that it doesn't hurt. Instead, it means holding on to the truth that God is with us in our suffering, working all things together for good. This trust allows us to endure the discomfort of preparation with confidence, knowing that God's plan is perfect and that His purposes will ultimately prevail. It shifts our focus from the pain of the present to the promise of what is to come, enabling us to persevere with faith and hope. When God prepares us, He often uses trials as a refining process, much like a craftsman refining precious metals. This process is not arbitrary. It is intentional and purposeful, designed to remove impurities and reveal the strength and beauty within us. Trials are not merely obstacles to endure, they are opportunities for transformation. They reveal the areas of our lives that need refining and teach us to rely on God's strength rather than our own. Just as gold is refined in fire, enduring intense heat to remove imperfections, so too are we refined through the challenges and hardships that God allows into our lives. Trials expose the weaknesses we may not even realize we carry. They bring to the surface our fears, doubts, and areas of self-reliance, inviting us to confront these things with honesty and humility. Through this process, God works to purify our hearts and align us more closely with His character. It is in the midst of trials that we often find ourselves questioning and searching, and this searching leads us back to God. The fire of refinement is uncomfortable, but it is also transformative. It burns away what is unnecessary and strengthens what is essential, leaving us more prepared to step into God's purpose for our lives. The refining process also builds perseverance and resilience. Each trial we endure equips us for the next challenge, shaping us into people who can withstand the pressures of life without losing faith or hope. This perseverance is a vital part of our spiritual growth, as it teaches us to trust in God's timing and to remain steadfast in our faith, even when circumstances seem overwhelming. James 1:2-4 encourages us to consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. These words remind us that trials are not pointless. They are tools that God uses to mature us and prepare us for His greater purpose. Through trials, God also shapes our perspective, helping us to see beyond the immediate pain and into the bigger picture of His plan. When we are in the midst of difficulty, it can be hard to understand how anything good could come from it. Yet, over time, we often look back and realize that those trials were pivotal moments in our spiritual journey. They taught us lessons we couldn't have learned any other way and brought us closer to God in ways we hadn't anticipated. This perspective helps us to endure present challenges with hope, knowing that God is working for our good, even when the outcome is not yet visible. The refining fire of trials is not easy to endure, but it is essential for growth. It strips away the parts of us that are not aligned with God's purpose and strengthens our faith, character, and dependence on Him. Through this process, we are prepared not only to fulfill the calling God has placed on our lives, but also to reflect His glory more fully. Each trial we face becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness and a step closer to the person He created us to be. Faith is most deeply tested in the waiting, where answers seem distant and the path forward remains unclear. When God prepares us, He often calls us into seasons where we must wait, not because He is withholding something from us, but because He is working on something far greater than we can see. These periods of waiting can be some of the most challenging moments in our spiritual journey, as they require us to trust in God's timing rather than our own. Waiting refines our patience and teaches us to surrender our need for control, reminding us that God's plan is always better than anything we could design for ourselves. In the waiting, God develops our character. It is in these moments of uncertainty that we are given the opportunity to grow in virtues such as humility, perseverance, and trust. The waiting process strips us of our illusions of self-sufficiency and forces us to depend more fully on God. We learn to seek Him not just for what He can provide, but for who He is. This deepened relationship with God becomes a source of strength and peace, allowing us to navigate the waiting with a sense of purpose and hope. Waiting is not passive. It is an active engagement with faith. It involves prayer, reflection, and obedience to what God has called us to in the present moment. While we may feel that nothing is happening during these seasons, God is often at work behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances and preparing our hearts for what is to come. This unseen work is crucial because it ensures that we are ready to receive and steward His blessings when the time is right. Just as a seed must remain buried in the soil before it can sprout and grow, our waiting serves as a period of preparation, where the foundation for future growth is established. During these times, we are reminded that God's timing is perfect. Ecclesiastes 3:1 states, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." This truth reassures us that delays are not denials, they are part of God's divine plan. Waiting allows us to align our desires with God's will, refining our priorities and sharpening our focus on what truly matters. It is a time to let go of impatience and trust that God's timing is not only perfect but also purposeful. The waiting season also builds a testimony of faith. As we endure and trust in God, we become witnesses of His faithfulness to others. Our perseverance in waiting speaks volumes about the depth of our trust in Him and serves as a source of encouragement to those who may be facing similar challenges. In hindsight, we often see that the waiting was not wasted time, but a period of preparation that equipped us for the blessings and responsibilities ahead. Seasons of waiting are difficult, but they are essential to God's process of preparation. They teach us patience, deepen our faith, and align us with His perfect timing and purpose. Through waiting, we learn to trust not just in the outcome, but in the God who holds our future in His hands. When God prepares us, the journey often involves breaking away from old patterns, mindsets, and circumstances that no longer serve His purpose for our lives. This breaking process is not merely about letting go, it is about making room for the new things He desires to do in and through us. Old habits, relationships, or ways of thinking can become barriers to growth and transformation. While it may feel painful or even confusing to release these familiar aspects of our lives, God's purpose is always to create something greater in their place. Breaking is a process of renewal, a necessary step in shaping us into the vessels He intends for His glory. God may strip away comforts or securities we have clung to, revealing our reliance on things other than Him. This stripping is not an act of punishment but an act of love. It clears the way for a deeper dependency on Him and a fuller understanding of His provision. When the familiar is removed, we are forced to face the question, where is our true source of strength? The process of breaking redirects our focus back to God, teaching us to lean not on our own understanding, but on His infinite wisdom and grace. This breaking is often a call to growth. It challenges us to step out of complacency and embrace the unknown with faith. Growth is rarely comfortable, and the breaking process is no exception. It disrupts our routines, unsettles our plans, and calls us to stretch in ways we may not feel ready for. Yet it is precisely in this discomfort that transformation takes place. The old must be broken to allow the new to emerge. Just as a seed must break open to sprout, our lives must be disrupted to bear the fruit God has destined for us. The breaking process is also a means of refining our hearts. It exposes what truly matters and helps us realign our priorities with God's. Often we carry attachments to things that hinder our spiritual growth: pride, unforgiveness, fear, or misplaced ambitions. Through breaking, God works to remove these obstacles, enabling us to walk more freely in His purpose. This refining process purifies our motives and strengthens our character, preparing us for the greater responsibilities He has planned. Breaking also creates space for God's new blessings and opportunities. When we release what is no longer meant for us, we open our hands to receive what He has prepared. This exchange may not happen immediately, but in His timing, the beauty of His plan will unfold. The breaking process is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. It is a preparation for growth, for blessings that exceed our understanding, and for a deeper relationship with the Creator who sees the entirety of our journey. In God's hands, breaking is never destruction without purpose. It is a process of renewal, a way to strip away what holds us back and to build something stronger, purer, and more aligned with His will. While it may be painful, the breaking is always for our good, a divine act of preparation for the greater work He has in store. Through it, we come to trust His heart more deeply, knowing that He is shaping us for His glory and our ultimate joy. In conclusion, when God prepares you, the journey may be filled with challenges, pain, and moments of breaking, but each step serves a divine purpose. The trials are not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. The waiting is not a delay, but a preparation, and the breaking is not an end, but the beginning of renewal. God's plan for you is greater than anything you can imagine, and His methods, though sometimes difficult to understand, are always rooted in love. He is molding you, shaping you, and equipping you for the calling He has placed on your life. Trust the process, for every step you take under His guidance is leading you closer to the fulfillment of His promises. Remember, the pain you endure today is often the foundation for the strength, wisdom, and faith you will carry tomorrow. God sees your struggles. He hears your prayers, and He is faithful to complete the good work He has begun in you. Lean into His presence, find comfort in His word, and allow Him to guide you through the seasons of preparation with grace and trust. Thank you for being part of this journey today and for opening your hearts to this message. May you find strength and encouragement in the knowledge that God's hand is at work in your life, even in the most challenging seasons. Go forward with faith, knowing that He is preparing you for something extraordinary. Good luck, and may His blessings surround you every step of the way. God bless you all.